Mom and Dad, Toddler's Disseminator is not for kids.
Where at, mes amis? This is HD, the host Disseminator, bringing you a review of the Hasbro Marvel Legends 2020 Retro Wave Spider-Man. Without further ado, let's chop them up. Retro packaging does look amazing. I'm totally digging it. Of course, this is going to be a replica right here from the animated series. However, these are not animated figures. These figures are from the comic book. These are comic book figures in retro waved animated series packaging. Okay, just wanted to emphasize that these are made by Hasbro, as you can see right here. The figure is for individuals for and older. You do have an artistic depiction of Spidey right here. On the back of the box, you will have the same artistic depiction and logo. It lets you know that there's interchangeable heads. There's a small write-up about Spider-Man right here. Bitten by a radioactive spider, Peter Parker now possesses all the arachnid's attributes. He's the amazing Spider-Man. In this wave, you will get Electro, Peter Parker, Green Goblin, Gwen Stacy, and of course the 1990s armored, outfitted Daredevil. I have the entire wave. I plan on reviewing all of them. Will I get two of them all? I don't know. We're going to try to, though. I didn't even finish the Sugar Man wave. I'm going to try to get to that, though, okay, y'all? I finally got that Sunfire. So here he is, y'all. Let's get this dude out of the box and see exactly what he is all about. And here's our main dude, Spider-Man, out of the packaging. And I gotta say, I'm totally digging the figure. I've had him out the box for a couple of days now. If you follow me on my Instagram account, you probably saw that I got these figures a few days ago. And I've been posing this guy around, man. He can get into some dynamic poses. We'll look at some of those later in the review. By the way, if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. Hit the notification bell and give the video a like. But what I want to do in this video, y'all, I want to give you a comparison, a breakdown between Pizza Spider-Man, which I love, man, and Retro Spider-Man, which I also love. So they both have pros, they both have cons. Let's get into the intricacies of the figures, but before we do so, let us take a look at the accessories. In addition to the head and the fisted hands that it comes with in the packaging, attached to the figure, he comes with this alternate head, and of course you're going to see that his eyes are a bit more squinty right here. Here we can get a closer look at it. So yeah, this head sculpt looks good, man. This is definitely Steve Ditko inspired. It is a retro Spider-Man, so they are definitely drawing on some of those early artistic depictions of Spider-Man from the comic books, and you know, this looks really good. When I compare this guy to Pizza Spidey, you know, I'll draw some differences because the head is a little bit small. However, it was small in the comic books too, you know, so it's accurate for what it is. So that's a look at the alternate head. The webbing looks really good here on the head, man. I have no complaints with that at all. There's a little paint splotch right there, but I mean, I can live with that. But for the most part, it looks really good. Of course, his eyes are squinting with this head sculpt compared to the head sculpt that came in the packaging, all right, where his eyes are just a little bit more open. Okay, so in addition to these fisted hands right here, which look really good, he comes with these web slinging hands right here. Okay, so you have lines, webbing all on the fingers right there, man. That's really good attention to detail. It's not in the hinges, but you know what, man, we could live with that. The fingers came all looking really good. Now, the weakness with this figure in terms of accessories compared to the Pizza Spider-Man is that Pizza Spider-Man came with fisted hands, web slinging hands, and wall crawling hands for the same price point of $20. He also came with a slice of pizza And of course, he came with an alternate head sculpt, which this guy did too. All right, so they're running neck and neck with the head sculpts. However, some webbing may have been good, even though I don't really like that Hasbro Marvel Legends webbing that comes with the Spider-Man figures. But still, nonetheless, for people that don't have it, would have been nice. And of course, the wall crawling hands would have been legit too. What I'm assuming is going to happen here, y'all, is that Hasbro is going to release this guy in a 2-pack. Kind of like they did with the black costume Spider-Man. They gave us a release. And I can't remember what hands came in that 2-pack with Kraven, but you got to complete the hand set by buying that 2-pack. I'm assuming they're going to do the very same thing with this guy right here. So you will get the wall crawling hands. Or you might be able to take wall crawling hands from a different Hasbro Marvel Legends Spider-Man and stick it on this guy, but I'm just assuming there'll be a 2-pack with this dude somewhere down the line. Okay, so those are the accessories. Now let us take a closer look at the figure. Starting with the retro Spider-Man's head sculpt. You know, I do have some QC issues with my Spider-Man. You can see this line doesn't connect to his mask right over here, to his eyes, excuse me. It does on this other side over here, but not on that side. So, you know, there will be some quality control issues with all of these figures, man, because they're mass produced in a factory, you know what I'm saying? And so they have deadlines and they're rushing to get these figures out, and sometimes, you know, things fall by the wayside. But other than that, man, he's looking pretty good here, you know. Maybe there's some blue coming through right there on the bottom of that spider, but the spider does look good. The red, there's some blue you can see that goes onto the other side where that's supposed to be red right there. Let me see if I can get the glare off of it. So you can see that a little bit right there, y'all. So a couple of QC issues. You got some blue coming through, but nonetheless, the weapon looks real good, man. Can't complain with that. Looking at it, looking at him from the front, of course, you're gonna have the spider logo right there on his chest. That came out really nice. The webbing's all clean. They made the webs go all the way back like that. You know what I'm saying? So when you're posing them, you can still see the webbing. So that's really nice. Same thing when you pull them out that way. They made the line go down pretty far. Of course, you got the webbing right there at his waist right there. This is a blue plastic right here, up here as well, and they painted the red over it. You know, his feet look really nice, man. No complaints there. They put the webbing on his feet. That looks all good. And we'll take a look at his articulation, because I'm sure y'all seeing that he got this lower, or rather this calf swivel going on right here. That looks really good. So overall, man, just in terms of the paint and the deco, the head sculpt looks really good. So really can't complain, man. He's a clean looking figure. Now let's do a little comparison. To give you a breakdown between the two Spider-Man that we have here, first thing you could really tell, man, at least I can, you could probably see it on the video too, is that the retro Spidey is just going to stand just a tad bit taller than Pizza Spider-Man over here. Okay, so that would be like the first difference. Of course, you can see that this guy has a bigger face and bigger head. Of course, this is going to be a retro Spider-Man, so in the retro books, you know, his head is a tad bit small, and you can see this image right here of an early depiction of Spider-Man in the comic books. You know, in my opinion, the painting and the lines on the Pizza Spider-Man was clean too, man. I never did have any complaints with the paint job with this guy, and I really do love the Pizza Spidey. And we'll look at articulation, because the articulation is very different, but I just want to look at the sculpts, okay, here at the outset. And so one thing you're going to notice is that this guy is a lot more muscular than Pizza Spider-Man. So his body's a lot more full. I'll be honest with you, that's one of the pros with this Spider-Man that I like. I do like the skinniness of this figure, man. This guy's a little bit more bulked up, and that's not a problem. But I don't know, man. With the upper torso joint, I just feel like, man, there's something just a little bit off with it. You know what I'm saying? Like something doesn't look right. I mean, I look past it real easy, you know, but when I first saw the figure, I was like, man, something's wrong up here with this upper torso joint that gives him this weird kind of look, you know? So yeah, man, I can't really put my finger on articulating what it is, but yeah, something's going on right here in this region right here of the figure, man, that looks just a little bit off. Maybe it's just because of the way they put this crevice right here in the joint. I'm not sure what it is, but the muscles are just kind of like I don't know, man, bunched up a little bit. You know, like I said, man, maybe because this is skinnier and this pops out a lot more. I'm not sure, but it does look a little bit off to me. Nonetheless, he's a phenomenal figure, and when you get to articulating this guy, you're like, yeah, man, this is totally legit. All right. So the legs, again, you can have a lot more muscle here than Pizza Spider-Man. Okay, so you know, those to me are the things that are going to stand out the most. The height, the head size, and the beefiness of this dude compared to his skinniness. All right, but I like this, you know, and I'll always have a special place in my heart for this Pizza Spider-Man. But this retro Spidey, once we look at his articulation, you're going to see why this guy is so special. And of course, we'll compare some of this articulation as well. So let us get into it, man. Okay, let's start with the head. Okay, so of course, this guy is going to have a hinge right here with the ball, all right? Pizza Spidey is going to have this hinge, as you can see right here. Whereas our main dude, Retro Spider-Man, is going to have a dumbbell joint. Okay, so this could go all the way around, you know, it's not a hinge. And they did open it up a tad bit back here for you to tilt his head back a little bit. Now, I wish that this was a little bit deeper and you could have actually made his head go back a little bit further. If you're a customizer, or you don't even have to be a customizer, really, man. You could kind of Dremel if you wanted to, but then you're going to mess up the sculpt of the body a little bit, man, and I'm not willing to do that personally, but you could Dremel this in a little deeper and probably get this dumbbell joint to go a little bit further back. And what you're going to achieve here, let me put on the alternate head sculpt so you can see how it looks with this. And what you'd be able to achieve, and that's how it looks, y'all, with the alternate head. Oh, no, this is I actually put on Pizza Spider-Man's head. Nonetheless, I wanted to do this in a video. So, yeah, so you can't put the Pizza Spider-Man head on this dude here, okay? And it doesn't look all that bad, all right? But, again, you can see his neck's a lot thicker compared to this guy right here because you got that hinge and it's a little bit skinnier. And because this is a dumbbell joint, you can see that the neck is a lot fatter, right? Because they want to give you some range with the dumbbell. But let me put on the alternate head with this guy as well. So you saw Pizza Spidey's head there. And this is the alternate head right here, right? And so, you know, you can get it to go a little ways back, you know. But say you wanted to put him straight forward and you were trying to get like an action shot with this guy. If you wanted his head to go all the way up, you'd have to Dremel this, this neck joint a little bit here. And that's possible. I'm sure you could do that because it does look like it does go a little deep, you know, the dumbbell joint is deep in there. So you could probably Dremel that down, man, to get some more movement right there and get his head all popped all the way up. But they did at least put it, you know, give you a little gap right there to get that dumbbell joint to go up a tad bit, okay? It would be nice if it would have went a little bit further, but then again, it might have looked a little bit off. So they're leaving it to you to decide what you want to do. I'm not going to Dremel mine, man, simply because then you're going to have to do some painting, and I'm gonna mess that up. Y'all see this diorama back here, right? This shit took me like 2 months, man, and I ain't even like close to being finished yet, all right? I'm going to build a bar on the inside, man. This is going to have 4 walls, all right? This is 2 stories. I'm put a roof on this bad boy, too, up there. And so, so yeah, man, I'm definitely not going to try to paint that. You can see my custom gamut back there. It's all right for what it is, but it's not the best, okay? So, so that's number 1 with the heads, right? With the Pizza Spider-Man, you can get that joint all the way up like that. See that? Compared to the Retro Spider-Man. So let's pop his head back on. And so you could get his head, you know, maybe just a tad bit further up. You know what I'm saying? If you wanted him to do like this pose like this compared to the Spidey. So let's do that, all right? So I think that Pizza Spidey is able to look just maybe a tad bit further up. Maybe not, man. Let's look at him head on. Yeah, just a tad, man. Just a little bit. Let's stick this head, this retro head here on Spider-Man. I have stuff falling down here in my studio. And let's stick that head on. Now, with this head, man, I mean, it can go really up. Look at that, man. That's pretty good. So it definitely goes further up with the retro head. And this is how Pizza Spidey is going to look with the retro head. It looks all right, man. But his head's a little bit smaller, so it does look just a little bit funny. You can still get away with it, though, man. You know, yeah, It's not too bad, but it ain't that good either. But just for an action shot, man, yeah, you can't really notice it that much. So if you were trying to get him to look straight up, maybe this would be the best way to go with that. Okay, I know I'm spending a lot of time just on his neck, but you know, man, I want to give you a full breakdown, man. This is the purpose of the review, right? So let's see here. He has butterfly joints, and both of these figures have the butterfly joints, and it seems like they both work pretty much the same. I'm not sure if the retro Spider-Man, perhaps he can get his hand. You know, I think it's just the same, man. Of course, this guy, when you go forward, it seems like he can maybe get it to go a little bit further forward, but no, that looks the same too. It really does, you know. So they both have butterfly joints, so they're running neck and neck right there with that. And I really love butterfly joints. I think every Marvel Legends action figure should actually have them, including the females, all right? And so that's badass, okay? So we got that going on with these guys, both of them. Here's where you're going to find the big difference, right? This guy right here has an ab crunch, and this is how far he can go forward, right? This is how far he can go back. Let's go forward first and leave him standing like that. Now, with the retro Spider-Man, you can see that he has this upper torso swivel right here. And, of course, there's a big dumbbell joint on the inside. And so this guy can just swivel all the way around. And he has an ab crunch in addition to that, okay? Whereas, of course, this guy doesn't have that swivel. He just has the crunch. So when you combine the crunch with the swivel, and I want to make sure I got this guy standing all the way up, he can actually bend down a tad bit further. Okay, you see that? So he is bending down just a tad bit further. I'll give you the back view right there. So yeah, definitely leaning further forward than Pizza Spider-Man. So this is going to be a huge plus, man. For me, this is one of the big draws for this retro Spider-Man is this upper torso swivel, because it's going to add to the articulation. And watch this guy when he goes back. Holy camoli, man! It's like he's doing playing what's that called, limbo. So let's see, compare it, and I want to make sure I got this guy's legs straight so you can see the difference here and how far. Look, I'm pressing as far back as he can go. Look, man, there's no question. There's no question at all. The retro Spider-Man, his backward crunch, man, far surpasses Pizza Spider-Man's. Look at that, man. So that is just amazing right there. So far, man, for articulation, retro is definitely winning. Of course, you're going to be able to go 360. And in terms of the arms, again, you're going to have the same articulation, right? Let me get this guy standing up. So with the retro Spider-Man, check this out. You do get the 360. You get the upper bicep swivel. You get the double jointed elbows on both of the guys. You do have a waist swivel. And you do have a hinge right here that goes up and down. Now here's a lost opportunity, and this has to do with the sculpt. And this guy has the same thing. You would think, man, that they would have updated the pin technology where they have these pins, create a mold. I don't even know if it's a mold. It's just, I guess, I don't know, man. I don't deal with, Hulk just fell. I don't deal with plastics. And so I really don't know how they work, man, but I would think that there would be some way where you have a mold where you can connect two different colors. So that could be blue on that side and that could be red on that side. I would just think that, man. Again, I know nothing about creating plastic, but, or just paint this, man. Paint it blue, do something to improve this pin technology, because I think that's one of the flaws with the figure, man, overall, are these pins right here. If they would have been blue, you know, man, it would have knocked it out the park. He's already out of the park, but it would have just took it to a whole nother level. You know what I'm saying? So that is going to be that. Here is a difference. This guy has the waist swivel, and of course, this Pizza Spider-Man does not, because he has the swivel up here on his upper torso. Now, would it have made a difference if they would have thrown in a waist swivel? Obviously, it would have added to the articulation, man. It would have, like, threw him over the hook. So maybe if they do reissue this guy, you know, I just, as an experiment, and I'm not complaining about this, right, because I like him just how he is, but as an experiment, maybe Hasbro could throw in the next retro wave Spider-Man, or the use of this body mold, and throw in a wave swivel, because that would just throw the articulation, man, just like out of this world, man. So yeah, so he doesn't have it, but nonetheless, it's not a complaint, it's an observation, okay? With this guy here with the legs, let's take a look at that. No drop down joints with this guy. And of course, Retro Spider-Man, watch this. He has the drop down joints. And of course, this is going to allow him to get into some pretty groovy poses, man. So, and then look, and when the fact that you can lean this guy over to the side like this, so it's obvious you can go forward looking, you know, in a forward stance, but you can throw this guy to the side here and still get that crunch, man, and just get him into these awesome poses. Look at that, man. Look at that. That is just so beautiful right there. And I should probably put his web slinging hand in, but I think you get the idea. And just imagine him holding another web back there. I mean, that is some dynamic posing right there. And so let me put this guy down and see what I can achieve with this guy trying to imitate what I'm doing here. So I'm going to throw his leg up right there. I'm going to get this crunch. I'm going to put him to the side. And really, all you can do is rely on getting his legs further up. And you can't get him to the side. I'm going to be fair, all right? I got this guy completely to the side. I'm going to put this guy completely to the side. It will have to be a waist swivel. And you can crunch him down a little bit. But you know what, man? It's just not the same thing, all right? So let's do a comparison here. Boom. Look at this guy, man, in the pose. Now, this isn't bad, but look how awesome this is, though, all right? So he can just bend all the way over. Let's get a side view of this. And so there you go, guys. This retro Spider-Man is just amazing. Again, this guy's still good, man. If you're questioning whether or not you should get this retro figure and you have the Pizza Spider-Man, I think you'll do just fine with this retro, man. But if you're looking for articulation and an increase in articulation, yeah, this guy's the way to go, all right? So here again is that side view right there. We'll get a look from this side of the same pose. And you can see that this guy's articulation is just 100% better, all right? So that's going to be that. And of course, those drop down joints help him with the kick. Now, let me just get him in a kicking pose, y'all. I'm going to put this guy's leg to the side like this. As a matter of fact, we could do this for him real quick. Let's get a good kicking pose going on. I'm going to lay him down here for a second because I'm not trying to balance this guy right here on the video. He's definitely going to fall. But let's get this guy in the kicking stance. And boom, man, I don't know, man. It's just a lot more dynamic to me. You know what I'm saying? With that crunch like that, the Pizza Spider-Man, he's not really achieving the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Look at that retro Spider-Man. Man, that's just, I mean, the articulation is just 100% better. Let's see here, man. Am I just posing this guy wrong? Maybe some of y'all could achieve the same pose with this Spider-Man. I don't know. I don't think you can, though, man. This is it's just better, dude. That's all it is to it, man. And this torso swivel is like making it 100% better. And of course, the drop down joints. And so, man, just look at that. That is beautiful right there. All right. So, you know, we're going over some of this articulation here, and it's just beautiful, man. And I think that the drop down joints are a big piece of that. Okay, so let's put them back into a vanilla pose really quick, and we'll finish out the articulation segment. Let me get this guy standing. I hope you guys are enjoying. I'm taking my time with this review, man. I'm not in a rush, man. I hope y'all are enjoying it too. And of course, like I said, I just want to give you a thorough examination of the figure, comparing him to our favorite Pizza Spider-Man, which again, I still love, man. I'm not getting rid of this guy. Still love him. All right, so the legs, okay? You're going to have the upper thigh swivel on both of these guys. You're going to have the double jointed knees with both of these guys. You're going to have the foot that can go way up and way down. You will have ankle pivoting. They both have peg holes at the bottom of the feet. Now, here's going to be the difference in articulation with the legs, is that this guy has calf rotation, okay? Whereas this guy does not. So whereas this guy does have a rotation here, he doesn't have it down here with the calves. And whereas this guy doesn't have the waist, he doesn't have it. He does have it at the calves. Okay, so that's some added articulation there with the calves. And, you know, man, I really like the articulation on this guy. I just demonstrated some of the poses he can get into. And I'll have a photo segment at the end. And I'll give you some more poses with this dude. But, you know, man, this guy, the articulation is just absolutely amazing. And Retro Spider-Man is going to stand in almost exactly at 6 inches, just a few centimeters above. And here goes Retro Spider-Man compared to the 80 years Iron Man and the 80 years Hulk. And here he is scaled next to Cloak and Dagger. And here he is scaled next to the Walgreens exclusive Punisher and the Man-Thing Wave Blade. Here he is scaled next to Prowler and Morbius. Here he is scaled next to the Vulture that we recently got and Dr. Octopus. Here he is scaled next to Scorpion and the deluxe Eddie Brock Venom. And here he is scaled next to 2 New Orleans born superheroes. We have the most glorious, most beautiful, most powerful single jointed elbowed Monica Rambeau and the Prince of the French Quarter, the single jointed elbowed Remy LeBeau, known in the French Quarter simply as Gambit. In conclusion, I'm not going to give the figure a rating between 1 and 10 because that's just not my style, man. You know, in various creative things that I do, I play drums, man. I'm not the best, so when I hear a good drummer, I'm like in awe, man. I give him my utmost respect. I like to paint with oils. I'm very amateur, so when I see a good artist, like one of my favorite artists here in New Orleans is James Michaelopoulos. When I see his work, man, compared to mine, I'm like, this dude has my utmost admiration. I'm building this diorama you can see back here, right? It's all set on Bourbon Street. If you can't read that other little sign that says Assassin's Alley. Now, in the city, we do have an alley called Pirates Alley, and some of my ancestors were pirates myself. But I call this Assassin's Alley. It's going to be a fictitious alley. Set in my diorama here, so I'm gonna build a little alley over here to the side where all kind of fights are gonna happen, and I'm gonna make this into a full building. But when I see other diorama artists on Instagram posting their dioramas and I look at mine, I'm like, damn, I'm an amateur. These dudes are professionals. So the same thing with these action figures, man. I've never sculpted a figure in my life. You know, so I have no idea what it's like. So all I could do is just give admiration to those who do and give them props. All right. So I'm not going to put a ranking. I gave you the breakdown of the figure. I compared the articulation. I gave you the body sculpt. So you're going to have to make these decisions on your own. OK, but from me and my perspective, you know, I love this figure. Would I recommend you to get it? If you don't have the Pizza Spidey, yes. You can see I have the Pizza Spidey, and I still bought this dude just out of wanting him, all right? And that's why I buy these figures, because I want him, right? But yeah, man, the articulation on this guy is legit. The paint job is legit. And I think this is a sign of newer things to come for Marvel Legends. If they give us a Gambit, again, y'all know that I'm always advocating for that re-release, man. If they could give us this articulation on a newer Gambit, give us a new coat even, man, that would be absolutely legit. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. Hit the notification bell, give the video a like. And until next time, as we say here in the city of New Orleans, laissez les bons temps rouler, les amis.